Welcome back, everyone, to Courtroom Conversations.
Yes, welcome back.
It's on the Classic Courtroom YouTube channel.
That's right.
So if you are enjoying this deep dive, please make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on any future content.
That's right. We've got lots more deep dives coming up.
I'm Dylan Brooks Hamilton.
And I'm Susan Kelly Ashford.
And today we are going to be talking about something that, really, I guess you could say it kind of hits close to home for a lot of people.
Yeah.
This is a situation that we're going to dive into where you have a Southwest Airlines pilot who was arrested
Right.
in Savannah, Georgia, before he was about to pilot a flight to Chicago.
Right.
Flight 3772.
Yeah, and this is something that I think is a nightmare for people.
Yeah.
Most of us fly.
Yeah.
We put our trust in these pilots
Yeah.
to get us safely to our destination.
Yeah, when you think about it, it's pretty incredible.
Yeah.
You're putting your life
Yeah.
in the hands of this person you've never met before.
Right.
And, I'm somebody who, I'm not a great flyer.
Yeah.
I don't particularly enjoy it.
I see.
It's always a little bit nerve-wracking for me.
Yeah.
So, when you hear about something like this, it really makes you think like, okay, how often is this happening?
Right.
And is this something that, should we be concerned about?
And do they have adequate safeguards in place to prevent this sort of thing from happening?
Yeah.
Because this is a huge responsibility.
Exactly.
Like you said, you're literally responsible for all of these lives on board.
Yeah. So this particular pilot, his name is David Allsop.
Uh-huh.
He's 52 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And he was, getting ready to pilot this flight to Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
And, they arrested him.
Well, and the thing that we don't know is at what point was he arrested?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Was it as he was going through security?
Right.
Did somebody notice something? Was it a random,
Was it a passenger?
screening? Or was it something where he got to the gate and then somebody said, something's not right here?
Yeah.
So we don't know at what point this happened, but...
Yeah, the article doesn't specify.
Right.
All it says is that it happened before the flight took off.
Before he was ready to take off.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is obviously, better than him actually taking off
Uh-huh, for sure.
with a plane full of passengers.
Yeah.
But it did result in a significant delay.
Right.
The flight ended up being delayed by almost 4 hours.
Wow. So you can imagine. Yeah, and think about all the things that have to happen in that time.
Yeah, what is going on behind the scenes?
First of all, they have to determine.
Is he actually intoxicated?
Right. They probably gave him a breathalyzer.
Yeah.
That's standard procedure.
Right.
Then if that's positive, they've got to find another pilot.
Right.
They have to get that pilot to where this plane is. So there's a lot of logistics involved there.
Yeah, and then there's also the passenger element.
Right. What do you tell these people?
Yeah, you have a plane full of people.
Who are sitting there.
Who are now delayed.
Yeah.
And who are probably, a lot of them are probably going to be very concerned.
Of course they're going to be wondering what's going on.
Yeah, like what is the reason for this delay?
Right.
Is it something serious?
And are we safe?
Is it a mechanical issue with the plane?
Right.
Or, is it something else?
Mm-hmm.
So you can imagine that the airline is in kind of a
PR nightmare at this point.
They're trying to figure out, okay, how do we manage this situation?
Right.
How do we
keep people calm?
Right. How do we keep people calm?
How do we get this flight off the ground?
Right.
How do we do all of this while also
Maintaining safety.
ensuring the safety
Yeah.
of everybody?
And it's interesting because we were looking at this article and it mentioned a similar incident.
Yes.
That happened last year with Japan Airlines.
Right.
And in that situation, you had a pilot who admitted to drinking heavily the night before his flight.
Right.
And Japan Airlines, they canceled the flight.
Right away.
Immediately.
Yes.
And they cited concern for the pilot's well-being.
As a reason.
Right.
Yeah.
Which, on the surface, that sounds very compassionate.
Right.
But it's interesting to contrast that
Yeah.
with the approach that Southwest took
Right.
in this situation.
Because they didn't cancel the flight.
They did not cancel the flight.
They just delayed it.
They delayed it.
They found a replacement pilot.
And they accommodated passengers on other flights.
Right.
If those passengers didn't want to wait.
Right.
And they issued an apology for the disruption.
So very different approaches.
Yeah. What do you think accounts for that?
I mean, you have to wonder if there isn't a cultural element to this.
Okay.
Japan has a very different culture around drinking,
Right.
and what's considered acceptable.
Right.
And also the way they view responsibility
Right.
is very different
Sure.
than perhaps here in the U.S.
Yeah. So maybe that plays a role.
It could be.
But you also have to wonder about, just the policies
Yeah.
of the different airlines.
Do they have a zero tolerance policy?
Right. Do they have a zero tolerance
And are
policy?
they more strict?
What are their procedures for these kinds of situations?
Right.
Um,
And we don't know the answer to that.
right. We don't know that information.
We have to look into their...
We have to get our hands on those policies.
Right.
To see what they say.
Exactly.
But Southwest did release a statement.
Okay.
They said that the pilot had been removed from duty
Oh, okay.
and that safety is their top priority.
Okay.
What do you think about that statement?
Well, it's pretty standard.
Yeah.
I mean, what else are they going to say? Right. They're not going to come out and say, oh, we don't really care about safety that much.
Right. Right.
But it's interesting because it doesn't address...
How it happened.
Yeah, how did this happen?
Yeah.
How did this guy get to this point
Right.
where he was allegedly intoxicated,
Right.
ready to fly a plane?
Ready to get on a plane
Yeah.
and fly a plane full of people.
What are the safeguards
Right.
that are in place to prevent this?
And are they not working, or
Right.
is there something else going on here?
Right.
So that's kind of the big question.
That's the $1 million question
Yeah.
right there.
What can airlines do to prevent this from happening?
Oh, well, I mean, there are regulations in place
Yeah.
already.
Right.
Pilots have a legal blood alcohol content limit
Right.
of 0.04,
Which is half
which is half
the legal limit for driving
for driving, right?
in most places.
Right.
Um,
And that's enforced by the FAA, the Federal Aviation Administration.
so are those measures not enough?
Well, it's hard to say.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes it's not the measures themselves,
Right.
but how they're implemented.
Right.
How are they enforced? How
Right.
much awareness is there,
Right.
around this issue?
And also, I mean,
They're there.
the airlines they have programs in place
Right.
to help pilots who might be struggling with substance abuse.
Right. They have employee assistance programs,
Right.
things like that. But are those enough?
Are they effective?
Are they being used effectively?
Right. Are they actually helping people?
Are they addressing the problem
Right.
before it gets to this point?
Right.
Yeah.
Leave a comment down below. Let us know what you think.
Yeah, we always love to hear from you guys.
And if you have any other interesting legal cases
Yeah.
that you'd like us to dive into in the future,
That you want us to take a deep dive on.
please let us know.
Leave those in the comments too.
Yeah.
Until next time.
Take care.